Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new series that we're doing here on the Iron Fist channel. Today we're going to start talking about recording guitars. Hope you enjoy it. Rock!
It began as a dream with two kids in high school. There was a spark, magic, chemistry. Then life happened. But 30 years later, the fire was reignited. The band is back, better and badder than ever. They prolifically turn out new music, songs hitting the tops of the charts in various corners of the world. Rockin' you since '82. Iron Fist.
Hey, so today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about recording guitars. And there's a lot to this. A lot of things I've learned over the years in my own experience. Early on, I made a lot of mistakes in recording guitars. If you listen to some of the first EP that we did called Middle Age Metal, and even into the first album, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And there's a lot more to it than just sitting down, turning up a guitar, and playing, right? So tones, amp settings, distortion settings, how many times you track a guitar, all of those things is what we're going to get into today. So the first thing I want to do is just play a little bit here and let you hear some of the sound that I'm getting right now. I'm currently using, I'll shed a picture of this over, but it's my orange Micro Terror through actually a small orange cabinet that I have. It's very small. I have everything all the way up from a Marshall 150 watt head with 4 12s. I've got a PV cabinet with 2 12s, and then all the way down to the Micro Terror or the Black Star Fly that I use for recording. And it all depends on the tones that I'm going for. But right now what I want to focus on is these micro amps, using the Orange Terror and the Black Star Fly. So right now I'm playing through the Orange Terror. Yeah, Orange Terror. And this is the sound you get out of it. Doesn't sound like much here in the room, but once you get that mic'd and put into the DAW, it sounds good. So let's get into miking it. Let's look at what I'm doing with that, what microphone I'm using, and then how I'm bringing that into the recording software in the computer so that you can really get an understanding of where all of this starts. One thing I did want to clarify, when I'm using the orange, I do mic it. When I'm using the Black Star, I actually put that DI, which is a direct input, into the computer, so there's nothing you would hear in the room. And one of the reasons for that is when I'm recording, a lot of times it's very late at night and my wife is sleeping, and I don't want to make any noise in the house at all. So I can put my headphones on, plug that into the DAW, and definitely get some good tones out of that. So let's get you over there and let you look at what we got with that. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm using the orange Micro Terror. It's a little 20 watt amp, nothing special. I want you to see where I've got my settings. You'll notice that I have my volume down fairly low. I do have the tone turned up all the way so it's crisp on the high side, and then my volume is running a little bit over center. So the main thing is here to notice that I'm really not using a ton of, sorry, I got this backwards, sorry. The gain is just a little over center and the volume is down. So the gain there is not a lot. This amp gets really nasty, and if you want to go for a good 90s sound, something like, I don't know, some of the 90s bands I'm not thinking of right now, crank that baby up all the way. But for the tones that we're looking for good classic hard rock, that's about where I run this. Now the cabinet is just got this little 6-inch speaker. It's either a 6 or an 8. And I'm using a Shure, I think it's an SM57 mic. Can't remember. Yeah, it's an SM57 Shure there. That's what I'm using, and I'm just miking it directly out of the center of the speaker there, a little bit off the center of the cone, and coming out of that over here into my board on one of the channels. Now, I'm not using any EQ on the board at all. Sorry about that. I'm not using any EQ on the board at all. The EQ, all of this is turned off. And I'm just strictly using this as an input out of here through the USB over this way into the computer over here. Pardon the mess. Okay, so kind of played around with that a little bit and got a track set up here that I want to share just a little bit with you. So I did a little bit of a drum intro. We'll get into that stuff later, but right now I'm just running at about 120 beats per minute. Laid in a click. I'm not going to have that click going right now, but it's very important that you record with a click. And I just want to hear a little bit of what I did. I laid in that drum track and then laid in a bass track. So here you go. Not perfect, but you know, it's for what we're doing here. This is fine. So I'm just doing a basic chord progression. A, G, D, A. A couple little in here and there. So I'm going to record that in there and then play it back for you when you hear what I've done. So I'm just going to play this live for you and then also let you hear it with the guitar recorded with a couple of things that I've added, and we'll talk about that. So let's get this going here. So that's all I did. We're not doing a song. That's not the point of this. But the point is to just record in some guitar and let you see what that's like. So I've done that once, and that's recorded in. So a couple things I'll do here, and let's get you spun around so you can see what I've got added to this. Okay, so pardon the shaky camera, but there's a lot of tracks in here because these were test tracks that I was doing before I did this. Those are all muted. But this is the track that I just recorded. And the first thing I generally do is to try to get everything at an equal volume level is I'll normalize it. Now, I know when I do that, that track is going to be extremely loud. The second thing that I do is I do have a click track laid in here, and I like to bring that up and brighten this out and make sure that my track lines up with it. It's pretty good. So this is the click here, which lines up with the drums. And in this case, I want the guitar coming in just a little bit before, so it should sound pretty good. Normally, when I'm recording this for an actual production, I will have the headphones on, I'll have the click track going, and be listening to it very carefully. But for what we're doing here, just to show you how I record guitars, this is fine. So let's play this now. And oh, the other thing over here that I've added in on these tracks, it's this track, this track and this track. So I've added a little tri-comp, which is basically a three-stage compressor right there. And back over here, a little bit of EQ. Again, so going back over here, and you can see I'm cutting out the a lot of the lows here. So I'm doing a low filter pass. And then I boost a little bit around 2 megahertz and cut out a little bit around 500. Normally, I would cut out around 200 megahertz, but on the guitar, that's kind of the low end of the spectrum. That's really the spot that makes a lot of noise, but in guitar, it's not as bad as it is in other things, like a final mix. I got a little bit of boost right here at about 8,000 also. So there's not a ton of EQing going on, but I'm just cleaning that up just a little bit. And that's all I have on that, other than a tuner, of course, which has no bearing at all on the playing. That's just if I, before I start, if I want to tune the guitar. So let's let you hear this. Hold on. Okay, apologize for having to hold this by hand, but my camera stand that I use for doing video is actually out in the barn for one of the other shows that I do on YouTube on a different channel, and I didn't bring it back in the house. So anyway, so let's let you hear this, and I'll try to hold this as still as I can. So we're playing this right now, just so you see there's a drum track here that I put together just out of loops. That's what that is right there. The bass track that I recorded earlier, which is not perfect, but close. And then, of course, the two guitar tracks that I just recorded, which are this one right here and that one right there. Okay, so you get the idea. Now, that's just one time through on one particular setting on the guitar. So what I'm going to do, again, is duplicate that track. And what I'll do is just go in here and select those two tracks and duplicate them. I can't hold it and do it at the same time, I don't think. And then I'm going to record it with some different settings. So hang on and we'll show you that. Okay, so in order to do this, I've got to bring the guitar up here where you can see it. So when I did this one, and again, we're talking about studio work. Live, I do some things different. We can get into live guitar sound another time. I had the volume, I'm only using the bridge pickup, and I had the volume all the way up, so that's that sound. Not a huge amount of distortion on the amp, nice crunchy sound, volume all the way up on the guitar. Now I'm going to record this same track, but I'm going to turn the guitar volume, I'm going to leave the tone all the way up, but I'm going to turn the guitar volume down to about 4. So hear the difference? Okay, 3.5. So you can hear there's a big difference. What I'm doing is taking a lot of the gain out of that. I think I'm going to go down to 3. I like that better. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to record that same guitar track again using that setting. A lot cleaner. You'll see why in a few minutes. There's a method to this. So let's record it again. Messed up the end a little bit, but that's fine. This is not by anywhere near what we're going to have into this. But I'm going to go ahead and play that back for you now and let you hear what that's going to add to it with that second guitar added in there on those settings. So, okay, so I've got that added in there now and I've normalized it. Something else I didn't talk about was bumping a track. So you can see the track lines up really good on the click track and so forth. But the other thing that I will also do, and I forgot to do this on the other track, but it doesn't really much matter yet. Right now we're just getting tracks in there. I'm just deleting off all the noise on the front end. But the other thing that I do is bump the track. So you'll see that these tracks line up really good. And to get a good stereo pan out of this, I really want to just take that guitar track, the second, because I recorded 2 at the same time, and I like to take that second one and just bump it. What that does is it really gives it some good stereo pan and fattens that guitar up. So okay, so you can hear the guitar starting to get fatter now. The other thing that's on there, and I didn't talk about the bus of the guitar. So the bus is all of the guitars together. I've got a compressor on that, a little bit of EQ, not much different than before, although I'm not cutting the bottom end of that out at all. You can see here, it's just a little bit of boosting around 500, and that's it. A little bit of a low, high bump right there in around 3,000 or 4,000 hertz, and cutting off a real high pass up here. Other than that, not much on there. And then I've got a little chorus on there, but the main thing I do is I like to put a pan on it. And so let's come back over here again and show you the pan. I can bump it right or left, but what I'm really doing is width. I want to get those guitars thrown as far to the left and the right as I can. So I'm running a 200% pan on that. Not everybody likes that, but I really like doing that with the guitars and getting those to be on the far edges so that there's room for the rest of the band to fit in between. Bass in the middle, drums running, like 60% left and right. Vocals straight up the middle, stuff like that. So what I'm doing is creating really a trough for the vocals, which is the feature of most songs, to fall into, or a guitar solo. Okay, so the next thing that I'm doing here is really going to just stop using the orange guitar amp at this point and plug into the DI Black Star. Sometimes I'll switch guitars here. It all depends on what I'm going for. I might use the Warlock. I have a Fender somewhere around here. Maybe it's at my office. I've got another Les Paul. Again, it's all about finding different instruments and creating much fuller guitar sounds. But honestly, I usually use my Epiphone for most of this, and just play with the guitars and amps and distortion settings. So what I'm going to do right now is plug it through the Black Star directly into the interface, and then get another set of those same guitars to really make that guitar sound get really fat and pregnant with sound. So it'll give me a minute to get stuff switched over, and then we'll get on that. Okay, so Black Star Fly here, and it's just a little bitty 2-watt amplifier. It's got about a 3-inch speaker in it, which I don't use. I've got the cord coming out of it right here to plug it direct input. I've got my gain up about almost 3/4, my volume a little over half. My EQ again is all the way up on high, and I do run a little bit of delay, and also the EQ or the delay level is about straight up. I am using the gain turned on, and that's all there is to it. Again, it comes out of this cord here and goes up into the board in the same channel with no EQ on the board at all, just to put it directly into the DAW. So there's nothing in the room, but what you're going to be hearing is coming through the speakers out of the computer. Here we go. So that's what this sounds like, and this is going to be the high guitar part. So it's same chords, just different. Guess I need a little more volumetric efficiency on that. Hold on. Okay, there must be a gate on that somewhere. It's all right. Now, one thing about this guitar part is, if this was recording an Iron Fist song, this is the part that I play. I'm fronting the band, I'm singing, and I generally try to take my cues from Paul Stanley. Paul's not a lead player, I am, but I still try to keep my part as simple as possible and let Frank handle anything that's more complicated. Now, this song, there's nothing really complicated, but I just keep it simple so that I can sing it. A little bit of mud in there, but I'm not doing any of this, none of that stuff, just I've done it, but again, I want to focus on the crowd. I want to focus on getting people engaged. So when I record a song in the studio, I'm not necessarily recording it like I'm going to play it live, but I still want to do it along the vein of what I'm going to do live to be true to the band itself. I don't want to be in here ripping all kinds of stuff that I couldn't possibly do live while I'm singing. So the high guitar part, the second guitar, whatever you want to call it, tends to be pretty simple on most of the songs. And I leave the rhythm guitar to do more of the squeals and any little intonations that may be in there. And Frank goes and takes it, a million miles further than I do, but you get the idea. So let's get this recorded and add that high guitar part in now, and we'll see what we got here. So here we go. I kind of screwed that up. I probably would do that over again in different circumstances, but for what we're doing here, this is good. Now, you can hardly hear that, so I'm going to normalize that and get that up to a normal level, because it's pretty low. And then let's hear what it sounds like. Guitar off, back on. It's a little hot in the mix. Okay, so you can hear the difference that makes there for sure. It almost sounds like one guitar, and that's what I'm going for. I want this huge, fat, pregnant guitar sound. So now what I'm going to do is go and record that again, but you can't guess what I'm going to do. Take a guess. Put it down there in the comment section. I'm going to add another layer of guitar. Okay, so where I'm here, now I'm going to take it down. Nope, I'm not. I'm going to turn off the gain and just let it distort by itself. Hear how much different that is? So I'm going to record that same track again. I think I'm going to bring it down a little more even. Okay, so let's do that now and add that in there. that's fine for what we're doing. So there's that. Now we'll normalize that out and bump those tracks like you've seen me do before, and I will be right back. Okay, so let's see if you were doing your math. How many tracks did I just record? So each time I played, I recorded that twice. So it's double tracked, right and left, same exact part. So one play, 2 tracks. I did each part twice. So that means there is 4 guitars on the low guitar, 4 guitars on the high guitar, panned right and left. So there's a total of 8 guitar tracks right now. So the first thing I want you to hear is the high guitar by itself, and the one I just recorded actually by itself. Oops, backwards. Okay, so here we go. Hear how clean that is? There's hardly anything on that. A little bit of tri-comp, a little bit of EQ, that's it. Add that with then the second high guitar with more distortion. So this. Now we'll add that with the low guitars. And I've got this mixed down pretty good. It didn't take long to do. Okay, so that's sounding really good and fat. Low guitars without the high guitar, just so you can hear what that sounds like. Okay, now let's go all the way back to the beginning where we started and just play the two guitars that I started with, and then we'll add all the guitars so you can hear the difference it makes. So here we go. Now let's add it all back in. Didn't mean to add that. So there's the first 2. Hear how nice and fat that is? Okay, so the bass was a little bit heavy in there. So now what I'm going to do, the next step is I am going to go ahead and render this out, master it, and then insert it in here so you can listen to it and hear what this sounds like with all of this together and mastered. So it's going to take me a little while to do that. Our purpose today is not to show you mastering or any of that, so I'm going to save you a ton of time. This is already getting pretty long, but I'm going to go ahead and master this out and then insert it here, and then we'll do a wrap-up after it's over. So be right back. Okay, so I've mastered the song and rendered it out, and let's give it a listen now. And then what I'm going to do is actually in this part of the video, I'm going to actually insert the studio audio track here where this is, so you can hear that. for what it really is, not just through speakers, through a lousy microphone and a phone. One thing I would encourage you, if you have not listened to this video with earbuds or headphones, to catch all the nuances of what we're doing here, I would highly recommend that, especially right now. A good set of like Apple earbuds or whatever you have that has some good bottom end punch to it, and some really good quality headphones or whatever. Good speakers are okay too as well, of course. So I'm not saying that, but a lot of people watch these videos through their phone speakers and it just doesn't do it justice. So if you really want to catch what sound engineering is about and recording is about, I would strongly suggest that you do that. So let's put that in here right now, insert, and let's listen to it. Okay, so, whoops, hit the wrong button. So that's what we got. 8 guitars total, recorded each of them twice for 4 on each side. High guitar, low guitar. I could go on and on and on. Sometimes I'll have up to 15, 20 guitar tracks in a song, depending, using all kinds of different pedals, stuff like that. And some people might say, well, you don't play that way live. Why would you do that in the studio? Well, there's two worlds, and this is part of what took me a long time to understand in the early days. I came into the studio in the early days, sat down with a guitar and recorded it once, turned the distortion all the way up, thought it sounded great in the room, and that's what I did. Not understanding that the studio is a little different world, and when we are listening to something where we're not watching a live performer, it sounds different. We pick up different nuances because we're missing that visual experience. And we really want to compensate, because visual is so important. Our smell is our number one sense, of course, but hearing is so high on our food chain for our experiences in life. And we develop an emotional connection. So when we add the sight thing to it, it provides a different element. The other thing that you get is feel in a live performance. Now you can turn up a stereo really loud at home and create a feel, and I love doing that. As a matter of fact, when I'm here alone sometimes, I've got 8,000 watts of band PA system with 2 great big 18-inch subwoofers, and I'll bring that stuff in the house and play music through it because I love making the windows in the house rattle and just feeling that sound. But not everybody has that kind of sound system at their disposal, so there's so much to music. And so what we can do live, and I never want to say that the live energy compensates for crappy playing or crappy sound, because it doesn't. But the audio experience when we play live is, last time we played live was 4th of July in 2019 or 2018. Don't remember. Cassidy Freedom Festival. We were running 127 decibels at front of house, and across the street from the venue that we were playing in a city park, which was a long ways away, we were running 119 decibels. You feel that in a way that you can't possibly recreate through earbuds, and you need to make an audio experience that provides that same emotional experience that you can't do when you're not doing a live show like that. So, rock music is as much to be felt as it is to be heard. And what we're doing in the studio with these multi-tracking of guitars is creating that feel in a different way so that you go, wow, those guitars, oh, that sounds awesome. And you want to pick up your $9.99 Iron Fist air guitar and play along. And you can order one of those on our website. Looks just like this. Send us $10 and you can have one, all right? We want to recreate that in the studio. So in order to do that, we multi-track and do a lot of guitars in there to really fill out that sound in a way that makes it amazing to listen to your ears. So I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to do more of this kind of stuff. Scott and I are also talking about doing another song recording series for our Fistmas tune that's coming. So there's a lot going on. So let's do a wrap up on this video and move on here. Okay, so today we gave you a lot. This is quite a long video, how to record guitars, and it's no means going into the depth of it, but I'm sharing my years of experience with you, and I'm not going to say this is how you record guitars. I want to make that very clear. This is how I record guitars. Are there other people out there that do that like this? Sure. But the interesting thing in recording is that you can create so much, and in recording almost always, especially for rock music, less is more. Less is more. I mean, listen to AC/DC and listen to how they play and how they record, and there is so little on those guitars, and yet I consider AC/DC to have one of the nastiest guitar sounds of any band out there. I love their guitar tones. When I'm really feeling the mood to want to play some really nasty guitar, I'll pick up the guitar, turn everything, the distortion down, turn the volume way up, and start playing some AC/DC tunes because it just has a crunch that's unbelievable. We had somebody that watched one of our videos actually from a few years ago, right after Frank and Rachel came into the band, and one of the comments they made was, wow, those guys are really got a lot of powerful guitar and they're playing so clean. When you listen to it, you wouldn't think it is because it's got so much punch. But there's not a lot of stuff on our guitars even when we play live. So there you go. All right, that's going to wrap this up. Watch for another video on recording soon. Probably going to get into how to either record vocals or how to record bass. I might talk a little bit how to mix guitar, especially mixing in guitar solos, stuff like that, and what I do for that. When to add effects, when not. There's a lot more coming, but we thought we'd put this one out there for you right now. We haven't got into our Fistmas recording series yet. That's coming soon. But we actually have another single that we have recorded probably 6 to 9 months ago called Held Hostage, and that song is due to be released right in the beginning of December, and we're just wrapping that one up right now, so there's no video series on that, and we hope to get that song is going to be released on December 8th, so we need to get that out into distribution here in the next 2 weeks at the most. That song will be premiering on Monco Radio at Montgomery County Community College in Pennsylvania. Rock on, Mac Porter, thank you for doing that, in a little radio program called The Kiss Room Demos Part 6. And so we're looking forward to that. Matt's been a huge supporter of the band. Monco Radio has always been good to us, and we appreciate all that they do for Iron Fist. And, of course, we are Kiss fans, so when we have an opportunity to do a song for Matt's program called The Kiss Room and the Demos project that he does, which is, if you could write a song for Kiss, what would it sound like, record a demo, we just released a song for that. We've done that now for 6 years, and we will continue to as long as Matt keeps doing that and welcomes us back. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't heard Iron Fist before, that's who we are. I'm Rebel. Rock on. We have t-shirts, we have merch, we have guitar strings, we have guitar picks, we have pottery, we have all kinds of stuff. All of our music is out there on every major streaming platform, including a brand new streaming platform in China. And we're getting some good reviews out there. Also, we just had a number 6 in Australia with our spooky tune called Stranded in the Shadows. Thank you for that, Isaac Banks and Banks Radio Network. We appreciate the love that you've shown us over the years. And one last thing before I forget, make sure that you don't forget to always and forever